Alright, so for this video, I'll give it another quick disclaimer. The new scoring system for Olympic boxing, for amateur boxing as a whole, is significantly better than it was in past years and past eras in 2012 and 2008. Constant bad decisions with that stupid push button scoring. But with 10-point musts, significantly more fair. You at least can see the way the judges are scoring it. It's kind of an open scoring, in spite of the fact that the fighters themselves don't know who's scoring what. But at least us on TV, we can see who's winning the rounds. And just I think it overall creates more fairness. Especially because they have judges from different parts of the world. They try to get neutral judges, basically judges that aren't from either guy's home country, to be actually scoring these fights. And I think it just makes things overall more fair, and really it just comes up to the level of competence of both the judges and then the referee, should he happen to order any eight knockdowns or eight counts, standing eight counts, or any points deducted for fouls. And I think overall everybody's done a pretty good job with regard to things. In spite of that, though, there are some bad decisions. I already went over a couple: Lubin versus Peter Watori, and Charles Conwell versus Krishan Vigas, where I thought both of the guys that lost those bouts actually deserved to win. And that's the same here with Onder Sipal of Turkey versus Benny Muziyo of Zambia. And I thought I thought he should have clearly won this fight. I thought that the first round was pretty close, pretty competitive. A lot of hard shots scored by both fighters. Same with the second round. Thought a lot of hard shots scored by both fighters. But overall, I thought the more eye-catching shots and really the more effective shots overall, not even just eye-catching, because something can catch your eye and not even necessarily be the most effective of punches, and the most effective thing to follow up on. But I thought that Benny Muziyo, of Zambia, was clearly the more effective aggressor in this fight. Landed the cleaner punches, managed to even register a knockdown in, I think it was the third round, if I'm remembering correctly. It was a while. It was over 12 hours ago now that this fight took place. So um, Muziyo, managed to win this fight to me. I basically gave him all three rounds. So I thought that this fight was closer to the Lubin versus Peter Watori decision than it was to the Conwell versus Vigas decision. With Conwell versus Vigas, I thought that Conwell just kind of outslugged Vigas, outlanded him cleanly, but there was never like a question of if Vigas was going to be able to continue, if he was going to be able to stay on his feet throughout the fight. With Lubin and Peter Watori, and with this fight here, Onder Sipal versus Benny Muziyo, I thought it was an open question as to whether Sipal was going to even make it to the final bell. Muziyo hurt him repeatedly, dropped him, and to me, there's no way he should have lost this fight unless you scoring at least a 10-8 round without a knockdown for Sipal for the first two rounds. Otherwise, to me, Muziyo clearly controlled the action, landed the better punches, the cleaner shots, the harder shots. Sipal landed a number of shots of his own that were, good shots. It wasn't a total whitewash where Sipal wasn't getting his own offense off against Muziyo. But to me, every time Sipal was able to hit Muziyo, Muziyo had an answer for it. That wasn't necessarily the case going the other way. Sipal didn't necessarily have an answer every time Muziyo managed to hurt Sipal. And I think that he kind of got hard done by. I'm not sure exactly what Muziyo's prospects are for signing with a pro promoter from Zambia. It's not necessarily a country that has created a lot of professional boxing stars, but hey, he's gonna be somebody to change that around. He's a solid boxer, very tall for the weight class too. He's a very tall 165 pounder. He looked like I didn't see any heights listed for these two guys, but it looked like Onder Sipal was just eyeing it, probably about 5'10", 5'11". Benny Muziyo looked every bit of 6'3" or 6'4", so a very tall fighter for the middleweight class. And if he was to turn pro or stay amateur, it's doubtful that he'd fight anybody that has either a height or a reach advantage over him. But even regardless of height advantages or disadvantages, it's all about weight classes, not height classes. No such thing as a height class. There's no such thing as a reach class. And the fact of the matter is, Benny Muziyo simply outboxed him. You use your strengths however you got to use them, and to me, Muziyo managed to use his strengths significantly better than Sipal did. Was able to outbox him to me both on the inside and the outside. Used his leverage on the outside to pot shot well, and used his leverage on the inside to land clean, hard power shots that rocked Sipal and dropped him. So this just being the third of the bad decisions that I've seen for the Rio 2016 Olympics. I'm really hoping that I don't see any more, especially because some of the weight classes really have yet to get into the groove of things. We haven't really seen the flyweights or the bantamweights. We have seen a bit of the welterweights and the light welters, but haven't seen anything really insanely objectionable there, and the women haven't yet fought either. So have yet to see anything objectionable as far as they're concerned as well. But I mean, overall though, I'm liking the scoring system. I'm liking the decisions by and large. I think the judges are doing a solid job. I think the refs are doing a solid job, and I think just AIBA as a whole has done a solid job with the selection that they have for the judges, for the referees, the way that they've kind of put in the structure for how these the trees are for who's going to be fighting who in the round of 32, round of 16, and so on. I think it's pretty solid. You know, the way everybody qualified is pretty solid. I think they could use a little bit of work there because there's so many different ways to qualify. It's not quite as streamlined that as I think it could be or should be. But I mean, that's getting into a whole nother tangent. But I think AIBA is doing a solid job with the way they're doing things, and I can see why the WBC and the IBF in particular, as well as the WBO and the WBA, are a little bit threatened by AIBA's growing influence in the boxing market, especially in a lot of these markets that don't necessarily have pro boxing as a long-standing tradition. You know, a lot of these countries in Africa and Asia and Eastern Europe and such, where there's not a ton of pro fighters from Zambia or Iraq or Cambodia or Turkey. You don't have like an illustrious history of constant name brand boxers on the world stage from a lot of these countries, and I think that AIBA has made a lot of inroads in many of these countries, and so that, in addition to the World Series of Boxing and the AIBA Pro Boxing League, I think has shown themselves to be a force to be reckoned with in comparison to what's traditionally thought of mostly in Western countries, but as well as Japan and Thailand, as far as Asian countries and the Philippines, as pro boxing with the WBO, the WBA, the WBC, and the IBF. Basically, the Association of Boxing Commissions, the unified Association of Boxing Commissions. They're coming up with some stiff competition now from the International Boxing Association. So it's looking pretty interesting. Plenty of fights to go here. I'm also going to be doing a running series here on the fights that I think are the most fun fights to watch so far in these Olympics. But I definitely had to shed some light on some guys that I thought were hard done by in terms of the scoring. You're always going to have them. And I think that Benny Muziyo, Charles Conwell, and Liu Bin deserved better. And I think they're solidly skilled fighters. I mean, three impressive fighters, and if they choose to stay amateur, hopefully they have better prospects in the future. And if any of them choose to go pro after these Olympics, I'm hoping for the best for them. There'll definitely be three fighters I'm going to be looking out for. So that's pretty much it for this one, guys. Catch you guys on the next one. Peace.